everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Witch Mama podcast. I have a special guest here with me today, and this is a very special week for both of us as we are both contributing authors in a book that is launching this Thursday, 2 days from today, Thursday. And it is called Burned, Brave and Inspiring Stories from Women Who Have Overcome Their Fears to Speak Their Truth. So on today's episode, we are both going to share a little bit about our stories and what led us to participate in this book. We are going to talk a little bit about what kind of themes are in this book, and then we're going to read a little bit from the book to kind of give you guys a little taster of what to expect. But you can purchase this book on Thursday, the 25th of January. It is launching worldwide. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Kaitlyn Signorelli, who is an intuitive confidence and mindset strategist. So welcome, Kaitlyn, to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing this with me today.
Okay, it froze.
It did freeze. I think it says we're still streaming, so let's go with it.
Okay.
Okay. So hi, Kaitlyn. Welcome to the podcast. Do you want to just talk a little bit about you, your backstory, your business, who you help, and all the good things?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I am Kaitlyn Signorelli. I am an intuitive, confident, and mindset strategist. My son is off camera right here. He hadn't been feeling well, but he's feeling much better today. I have several different ways that I help women. I definitely am a multi-passionate, and I couldn't choose just one. So I have part of my business where I help new female online entrepreneurs grow in their confidence and their skills in copywriting, in speaking on lives, in speaking with clients. I also, a cause very close to my heart is that I coach and support confidence for with ADHD women. And I was not diagnosed until I was 29, and having that information really changed my life. And together with what I have studied for confidence and mindset, I was able to pull all those pieces together, and I want to share that with a very specific community there that means a lot to me. And then I have another one that I'm playing with. It's off on the sidelines right now. So I'll share more about that like at a future time. It's a baby right now. That's kind of what I do now. But as far as who I am, I've always been very outspoken and very opinionated. But I haven't always been able to be the level of resilient and confident and courageous that I felt that I needed to support my personality, which is a really good segue into why we're both writing for this book. Is this book very much mirrored my own journey that I had to go through in learning to accept my personality and stop villainizing myself over that, and learning that who I was okay, and that I do have a voice, and my voice is meant to be shared. In my soul, I am meant to share so much more than what I was taught to limit myself to.
I love that so much. Yes, I very much deeply resonate with all of that you just shared. And yes, this book, So for me, it really has been a journey in all the things you said, like in building my confidence, in building up to speak out, in building up to put these things out like on my main Facebook profile, right? Like I never would have done that 3 years ago. I would have been hiding,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would have been hiding in the shadows, like, oh no, I can't, no, my coworkers can't see this, my family can't see this, like all of those things. So just having like, realize that that's where we are right now is just huge for me. It's like this
Yeah,
huge mindset shift.
yeah, it's it's stepping into this bigger energy of taking up space.
Hmm.
I feel like so many of us were always told like fit in, fit in, fit in, be quiet, like don't say that. And really learning that that's just somebody's opinion of how people are supposed to be, not the steadfast rule. And we really are allowed to take up space. We have as much right to take up space and to speak our mind as every single other person.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with everything 100% that you've been saying. So I would love to know um, what specifically attracted you to this book project and what made you say yes to become an author, and just give me a little bit of information on that.
Yeah, so right off the bat, the title kind of got me. So I love that it's like what burned. It has such a who hasn't been burned by society? Let's just kind of just say that.
Yeah.
And and especially for those of us, hey sweetie, that's a little squeaky. Um, for those of us who do have this kind of spiritual journey and connection that we're on, it can feel like maybe like we're more witchy than we had like thought. And for some people, so I grew up in a Christian background. I do still consider myself a Christian. Uh, but I'm also very open to exploring what I don't yet understand.
Hmm.
And just to have these insights and these gifts and to feel kind of scared to have them and to talk about them, uh, it felt very much like there was that witch wound in my life where for a very long period of time I refused to even look at words like that. And I've been coming more into owning my voice, owning my interest, owning my exploration into what is more, like just what is more. And like I do feel that many of us have that generational trauma coming through with us, that the language has been separated from it, but we're reclaiming that language now and we're exploring what that is. Uh, and also the overcoming their fears to speak their truth. I mean, that's the journey that I had been on for like 2 decades. Um, my story is actually about a time when I was 11 that changed the entire trajectory of my life. And from like 11 to basically 30 was completely influenced by this one event where like people on the outside would have been like, seriously, you're still hung up on that? Like, no, like it rocked me to my core. It changed me fundamentally. Like I would say like even like down to my DNA. Like it activated something. It changed me. And my life's kind of purpose has been coming coming back from that. And I have made it back from that. And now I'm here in a position to tell and to help other women who are still in that they can get to the other side and they can get back to feeling like they are allowed to take up space, that they are allowed to have a voice, and they are allowed to speak and have an opinion. And no matter what somebody else says about their opinion, doesn't mean that they have to give up their opinion.
Yes, I love that so much. So your what everything you've kind of been talking about just goes, I feel like goes so beautifully side by side with like what I talked about last week. I was on a live talking about like what, what I was putting out in the world and what led me to sort of accept this book project. And so you just explained it in a way that I didn't even have words for. So that, I mean, it's just like, for me, it's also about reclaiming. So you had mentioned sort of like being scared of certain words or like witchy, kind of connotations and things like that. And for me, it's reclaiming that for women because for so long, we have been sort of programmed to think that it is evil, right? That anything related to witchcraft or witches or anything that
Mm-hmm.
in that light is sort of going against like morals or going
Yeah.
against, like what you're supposed to be doing in society. But to me, it's like reclaiming that word as something that's, I call it a woman in total control of herself is a witch. So that to
Mm-hmm.
me is like the main, message that I am portraying. Like we're reclaiming that. It's so much bigger than just like I had mentioned last week, it's so much bigger than just like spell work or, herbs or like, different things that witches do, or it's just so much bigger than that. It's actually a movement of reclaiming our power. That's what it really is.
And it's very dynamic too, because it can look different. Like the expression of what that is can look different for every single person.
Absolutely.
So like where one person would say spells, I say prayers, but I mean I use both. So like I'll say prayers,
Mm-hmm.
and where different herbs have different properties, I'm like, thank you God for creating these, and I get to use them, and I get to craft nourishing food for my family
Yep.
with them. And it's really just it's the angle at which we're looking at things. And certain angles have been villainized for a very long time.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, it is the angle that you're looking at it from. Absolutely. And it's also, so I know we're going to get to the book excerpts and all of that, but I just love this conversation. So it's also, people in the world kind of going against each other and this very much like divisive culture that we have. So it's like you have to be either one or the other, right? Like you can't both be like religious from like a traditional religion and do some witchy things. You can't be this and do that. And that is so permeated in our society that we have to be so divisive. So I think this is also a movement of sort of throwing that division out the window and saying like the next phase we're moving into is unity. Like we all are moving towards more of this unity where we're accepting each other no matter, all pieces and parts of us, and we don't have to sort of just be one thing.
Yeah, it's in my chapter, it almost kind of feels like a coming out uh of like I'm outing my witchier spiritual side in this book, which has been something exactly kind of like what you said is like, do I want my parents to know this? Do like my family is gonna see this? My cousins are gonna see this. My my aunt and my friends, like, I'm really stepping into that, like, yep, this is what I did, this is what happened, and it actually had a really great outcome and helped me like totally have a major breakthrough in my life. And yep, like I haven't with my family spoken very openly about, like oracle cards because they were like that very taboo subject. Like they already know I'm like the weirdo crystal hippie girl. Uh, but it felt like, all right, I'm taking another step out there. Uh, so even just in in sharing this chapter was a huge step in going through that kind of fear of like, well, what will they think? And honestly, what they think doesn't, like, I want them to have a good opinion. Like they'll still
Hmm.
love me, but it doesn't change my experience. It doesn't change my truth. It doesn't change that this actually happened for me and this is 100% truly what I believe about what happened. And it works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That is that sense of reclaiming your truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reclaiming those truths that live within you that and I know at least for me, that I kind of suppressed or hid for a while or just didn't really want to talk about. And to me it was like not that like I wasn't ready to share some of it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now I feel like I'm ready, like something has shifted. I've been through all of this healing work. I've been through these different stages. I have, transformed my business like a couple of different times to get to where I am now in the more spiritual entrepreneur space. And it's just the right timing now, it feels like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like I remember, I will speak from personal experience, is that further back in my journey, remembering and wishing that like I could be in this space where I am now and just not care and just go out and be like, blah, and kind of just like explode. But really that feeling and that angst is kind of a signal, at least it was for me, that I wasn't quite ready yet because I was still feeling insecure, which is that explosive nature is like a form of protection. It's, well, if I explode and I'm so forceful about it, then nobody can say anything to me. Where when you continue to work with yourself, you continue to work with understanding your value and the strength of your voice and the validity of your story and your purpose and what's going on for you, you get to a point where it's, here's my truth. I'm going to say it. What your opinion is, whatever, that's your opinion. But nothing's going to change here. And it's a very different feeling from that explosive, like, oh, I'm just gonna like
Hmm.
steamroll everybody so they can't say anything, to the totally like immovable and steadfast, totally rock solid in who you are. Nobody, like, people can say things to me, but it's not going to affect me because I am just as valuable as that person. And
Hmm.
nobody can take anything away from me. I don't have to steamroll anybody. I just show up and I speak. It's a very different energy. And when you get to the point where you're like, I can say what I need to say, and whatever happens, happens, and it's not going to change me, what I believe, or my worth, that's when you're ready. Like, you're really, really ready to like get out, take the next steps. You've done a lot of work. When you're still in that like explosive
Hmm.
energy, it's like, all right, you've still got some work to do in really getting your foundation solid. It is, and it's a natural progression. Like most people, when they're going from feeling very timid, kind of like pushed down, suppressed, going through the levels of emotion. That's what it is. I do not have it memorized, but it's like going from that state to where you want to be, that like solid in yourself. You have to go through that feeling explosive to get there. It's a very natural process. It can feel uncomfortable. Keep going through it. So important to keep going through it. That is not the last stage.
Yeah, definitely. That yeah, again, I so can resonate with your story around that because yeah, I used to be like I came out of a corporate job where I was very explosive because I was like mad at
Yeah.
everybody. I was mad at the world. I was mad at the patriarchy. I was mad at the male leadership. I was mad. I was just like mad at everybody when I came out of that job, right? So it took like a few years to kind of build up to that, like what you said, the calm, confident state. It's like this calm confidence is like, yes, that happened to me, but now I can come out here and be confident in who I am and not be in that explosive state. Like, yes, I know that there were things that happened that were wrong, and I know that it was not ideal, and I know that I was miserable at times back then, but I can just kind of come full circle and realize at the same time that like I almost like I had to go through all those things to be sitting here today because if I
Mhm.
didn't, I wouldn't have built like the business I built. I wouldn't have stepped into this podcasting. I wouldn't have stepped into writing these books. So it's just like it all comes full circle, right?
Yeah. That mirrors my chapter in the book so much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, with that, do you want to read a little bit from your chapter and just share a little bit?
Yeah, it's gonna be my chapter is very short, so I'm not gonna read a ton of it because I
Yeah.
had to pack a lot into like a little space. Um, but I do have a couple lines here. So my soul fractured that day. I was devastated. I blamed myself for it happening. I must actually be that annoying or it wouldn't have happened. And maybe I was the cause of everything that had happened to me that year. I tried to keep going as best I could. And just when I thought I had made the necessary adjustments to fit in, it happened again. Why are you back? Didn't you understand the first time? No one wants you here. Clearly, I hadn't suppressed my annoyingness enough. I would have to try harder if I didn't want to keep being a target. Her words became my inner voice.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
I can
Thank you.
finally tell that story. Like, I'll still get emotional about it, but I can finally tell that story without reliving it.
That's
And that was,
very powerful.
yeah, that was huge for
Yes.
me.
And I believe becoming a part of writing projects like this and just even writing, like not even like publishing it, but just getting it out is a form of healing. I know for me, like I wrote in, so this is a second book that I've participated in with the same set of women, with the same publishing house, and both of them just released so much from me in my journey. And so the first one was Broken, and that one was more around generational stories and generational hurts and disappointments and stuff that we hold on from through the generations that we carry with us from our families. And So that one just released a ton. And then this one, again, Burned, is releasing more. So I just feel so much like writing is truly a healing process for people who participate in it.
Well, and on that note, that is why journaling is so cathartic. The process of writing, of sharing, whether it's for one's private self or to put out in public, writing itself, the act is a release. It is a physical action. Those emotions get so trapped inside us when we don't take action. So I really like the kind of phrase that emotion is energy in motion. It needs a physical release.
Mm-hmm.
And for some, that's writing. And
Yes.
you told me that it was going to feel that way writing my chapter. And I mean, I totally believed you. I just didn't know how, like, to the extent it would affect me. But I remember, like, first writing down my ideas and then realizing, bye bye alarm, and realizing which story I was going to narrow it down to and what part of that story I was going to narrow it down to. Uh, and that I chose this one and that I chose to share everything that I did was all very courageous and bold and taking ownership of what happened and that I can put it out there and say, this is within your power. You have a similar story to follow a similar path to reach a level of confidence that you've been dreaming of. I I mean, connected with this. This is a part of what's going on for me. But like last year in writing this, and right before writing this, I hit this milestone with one of my coaches where I looked at her and I was like, I am the confidence that I had been dreaming. I have reached it. I am that woman. I am that woman right now. I've done it. I'm here. And I almost felt kind of sad because it was like, well, what am I going to strive for next? I was like, oh my God, I have to make new goals. Like, I need new goals. And that's the energy that I came into writing this chapter. And to be able to look at this particular storyline in my life with those eyes that I realized I am who I've always wanted to be. And reading this, I was like, there's no way I can't share every single piece of exactly what I did. It's time. It happened. And there's no shame in it. There's no guilt in it. There's no like, oh no, what if blah 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 think this about it. It's like, no, like, okay, this is what happened. I have a very imaginative brain. And the spiritual people who read it are going to be like, oh my God, that's so cool. And the people who aren't spiritual are going to be like, wow, she has a really active imagination. And like, whatever. Like, I don't care what
Mhm.
their opinion
Mhm.
is. I care that I'm sharing this story and that it's going to have impact.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I felt the same exact way sharing mine in both chapters.
Mm.
Um, something definitely released and it was like it's the same thing, like I don't, I know people are going to have a certain opinion of this, but it just doesn't matter to me anymore what the opinion is, and it's time to put it out there. It's time to do this. So
Yeah. What's your did you have an excerpt that you had?
yeah, I can read a little bit of the excerpt. So I have a longer chapter. I did like the higher word count. So I'll read a little bit from, it's almost like a couple pages in. And it's just a little bit of the overarching themes. So I'll go ahead and read that. Okay. So this is a story of reclaiming the divine feminine voice, of reigniting the flame of the goddess and everything that goes along with it. Intuition, psychic abilities, becoming one with nature, and helping Mama Gaia heal from all of the continuing pain and violence that she undergoes. As Lisa Lister so eloquently states in her book, Witch, Unleashed, Untamed, Unapologetic, it will call us all to take fierce responsibility in reclaiming the word witch and all that it represents and symbolizes. Oh, and FYI, being a witch has nothing to do with how you dress, what crystal you use, or what your witch lineage is. Instead, it's about being a woman who can recognize, navigate, claim, trust, and use her goddess-given powers of creativity and manifestation, her vision, her intuition, her foresight, her rhythms, and her cyclic nature, and her ability to experience fully the dark to serve the light. And she does it to heal not only herself, but her family, her community, and ultimately the world.
Nice.
So that's a little snippet of my chapter. And yes, everyone who's interested in this, in picking up this book, it is launching worldwide on Thursday, the 25th. So wherever you are in the world, it will launch on the 25th in your time zone. So just be mindful of that. And did you want to talk also a little bit about your free offer that people would get with purchasing the book on launch day?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone who purchases the book on launch day, you actually have access to different freebies from the authors. You just need to provide us like a screenshot of the purchase, like the ebook open on your phone, the like, yay, you have bought this, like on Amazon, like the little screenshot, and send it to us. Mine, my freebie is an opportunity to work with me for a month in an accountability coaching container. It is open to online female entrepreneurs and ADHD women. You can be an ADHD woman online entrepreneur. Perfect for you. Or if you are an ADHD woman and you have not yet delved into the online world of entrepreneurship, absolutely, totally still able to benefit from this. This is one of my favorite containers. I have had a woman in this with me for going on 19 months. She was the very first person to sign up for this month to month container. And she has not left me. And then she still like sends me messages of like, I am so happy that I have you here to keep me on track. Um, and I check in with her 2 days a week. Those 2 days are when we like catch up on what's going on. And I provide coaching as needed to adjust mindset, kind of like get back on track. And especially with women who are energetically sensitive, ADHD women, and women who also, pardon me, are empathetic or highly sensitive people. There is so much more that goes on behind the scenes. Like some of the typical advice just like doesn't doesn't work. It's like, well,
Absolutely.
just power through. It's like, excuse, with what power reserves are you
Right.
talking? Like, there's nothing there. And in human design, I am a projector. So
Okay.
it gives me these beautiful insights into like I can see somebody, I can listen to somebody and what they're saying, and I can see underneath what's going on. And I can tell when people are overextending themselves, or I can tell when they're being really hard on themselves. And very easily, I can provide reframes or suggestions on like, well, take a break from that, try this. Take a break from that, take a shower. Like it resets everything. There's so much healing about a shower.
Yes, I agree.
And that's why I call myself an intuitive confidence and mindset strategist versus just a coach. I've got the coaching certification, but it's the strategic piece that I am able to bring from my own insight that separates me from like what everybody else is saying. Coaches are designed to help you see things that are already inside you, help you find the answer. They're designed to ask, it's a container designed to ask you questions. Where the strategy piece comes in is I'm putting together the puzzle pieces with you. And I might even make some custom puzzle pieces that you didn't know could be made and hand them over to you. And you're seeing a completely different picture of what you can do. So I take an active role in helping my clients figure out what's going on.
I love that distinction. Yes. And that's very generous. That is a very generous offer to put out there for your freebie. So, yes, everyone who purchases on launch day on the 25th will get access to these freebies. And we highly recommend you get on our email list, though, so we can keep track of you and follow up and get your proof of purchase. So that way you get access to these. My freebie I announced last week, but I'll say it again really quickly. So you will get a 1 month free membership to my monthly membership, which is the Nurture Soul Healing Coven. And so within that, the major thing you get is a group healing session per month. So you get one live Zoom group healing session, and it could rotate between the different modalities that I offer, which is Holy Fire Reiki, hypnotherapy, and Akashic Records exploration. So it could rotate between all of those. We also do fun, like monthly oracle readings for the group members only. So you're getting like a semi-private reading in the membership as opposed to like a giant Facebook Live reading. So it's very much more individual. So you get to ask more questions, you get to sort of get more insights. And I also have a ton of other stuff behind the scenes in my member vault. So there's a ton of resources that come along with that membership. So you will get access to 1 month free if you purchase on launch day and send me the proof of purchase.
And I've done a hypnotherapy session with you, and I absolutely loved it. That was so relaxing. It was awesome.
Yes, I'm glad you loved it. Yeah. So I do like I said, rotate between the different modalities, but I am also like putting modalities together now. So it might be where you see me do the Reiki together with the hypnotherapy, or I do like Reiki in the Akashic Records. I'm just kind of being creative with my with my offers. So you get to see all of that too in that membership. All right, so we'll wrap up here today, but thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for coming on the podcast, for talking to me, for just this beautiful conversation. I know that this book is going to be so powerful for so many women out there in the world. I know the last one that launched, I just got tons of comments how people were opening up about their own generational stories. And even family members came to me and said how it impacted them reading the chapters. So I know this is just going to impact so many people. I can't wait for it to launch. And we are having a launch party also on Thursday, which if you are friends with Kaitlyn or I, you will get access to see that. We can invite you to the launch party. You can get on our live and sort of hear more author excerpts on Thursday and hear more about the book and just be a part of that celebration. So we invite everybody to come be a part of that as well.
Mhm. Great. Thanks, Kelly.
Yes, of course. thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in today to the Modern Witch Mama podcast. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Kaitlyn Signorelli and us chatting all about our status as co-authors in the Burned book that is coming out this Thursday, January 25th, worldwide. So I just wanted to jump on and give you a little bit more information about where you can find the book, the details for getting on our launch list, and all the good things. So this Thursday, no matter where you are in the world, you will be able to purchase Burned. And this is on Amazon only right now. So you'll be able to purchase a digital copy of the book Burned that we just talked about. And if you purchase on launch day and send us a screenshot of your proof of purchase, you are going to be able to get access to our free offers. So as discussed in the podcast episode, I am offering a 1-month free subscription to the Nurture Soul Healing Coven. That is my monthly membership where I hold a very sacred, divine, feminine space in your spiritual journey. We dive into a lot of witchy topics, spiritual, intuitive, developing your intuitive abilities. We do healing. We have a monthly healing call. We do all of those things. So I would love to invite you in there to be in there for a free month on me. And Kaitlyn's offer is 1 month free of accountability coaching. So she provides you with coaching in Voxer and sort of anything you need related to staying accountable in your life. She specializes with confidence and mindset, but also ADHD women entrepreneurs. So if that resonates with you and you really want to try out her accountability coaching, get on her list. All the links are going to be in the show notes, so you can click directly on the links and get on our book launch list to support us in this launch. And thank you so much for tuning in today. I will be back next week with another episode, but for now, have a beautiful rest of your day. And thank you so much for being a continued listener on the Modern Witch Mama podcast.